Okay, now let's talk about bus channels, specifically how bus channels relate to vocals. Now, you've probably heard the term bus or buses or bus channels if you've been in the music production space for any length of time, and perhaps you're still kind of a beginner and you don't really know how buses are supposed to help you, right? How does this make my music better? That should be the question that we always ask when we're talking about features and things like that, and workflow, right? It's like, how does this actually help me make better music? Well, buses will help you, especially with organization, with creating a faster workflow, but also a more intuitive workflow. And I'm going to show you why that is. Now, this is a session from a song I did in 2019. It's called Scared. So here is just a bit of the chorus. I try. So now let's talk about the buses that I used for all of my vocal tracks in this song. So I'm going to open up my mix window right here. Now everything in white is a bus channel. Everything in white here is a bus channel. Now what's interesting is the lead vocal bus right here doesn't have any plugins on it. Sometimes, oftentimes actually, I will put plugins on the buses. Sometimes I don't though. Sometimes I just want it for the volume fader so I can send multiple tracks to this one fader and I can adjust the volume, and it adjusts the volume of that entire group because that is how it is being routed. So everything that has the lead vocal, the lead vox right here, it's sending these individual tracks to the lead vox bus. So we've got the main vocals chorus. This is the chorus vocal. And then here we have, let me just move this up. We have the verse vocal and the chorus vocal. Now the verse vocal and the chorus vocal are essentially processed the exact same way, except the chorus has an extra compression on it. So it's just a little bit more compressed. That's the only difference. So, and then we've got these like reverse sounds. And then here we've got, this is a duplicated track of the chorus. It's the exact same track, except I drenched it in a plugin called Revival by Slate Digital, which gives it that super high sound, and I EQ'd all the bottom end out of it just to add a bit of extra sparkle. So this is basically parallel processing where we're duplicating the original track and then we're drenching this second track with an effect, and then we're blending that in with the original. Now, all of these tracks, let's color code these all the same. So let's make all these purple. Everything in purple is being sent directly to this lead vocals bus, as you can see here, right? When I adjust the volume of this bus right here, one, if I solo it, then it solos all those tracks as well. But I can adjust the volume of it, right? Whoops. So that's sort of reason number one. It helps you organize your session inside of your DAW. Another reason this will really help you is especially when it comes to doing like vocal doubles. So as you can see here, we've got these two doubles panned left and right. They're about 50 left, 50 right. And these are both being sent to a chorus doubles bus, or a bus here I've labeled chorus doubles. And I've got an effects chain here, right, with a bit of gate, OTT, EQ, and then mix tool, which is just for volume automation. Now, what this does is it saves me from having to process and put OTT on both tracks individually, put an EQ on both tracks individually. Because these doubles, you want a cohesive, singular sound, sort of, and so it makes perfect sense to group them and send them to this bus to process them on. The only processing that I do have is, I know that I did have a bit of tuning on it, so it looks like I've bounced that audio down, but I do have, outside of that, I do have a compressor, this is a volume balance compressor, which you will see when you go through the crash course on vocal compression. So there is a bit of compression on both of these, simply because, individual tracks, especially vocals, not even if it's a double, it's gonna have some slight differences in the volume balance of it. So it's often a good idea to put a volume balance compressor on each individual track before you send them to the group or the bus. So these are both being sent to the chorus doubles bus. And then, now this bus right here, this chorus doubles, sort of acts as a sub bus, because this bus is being sent to the lead vocals bus as well. See here? It's not going straight to the main output, it's going to the lead vocals bus. So as you can see, you can create multiple layers of buses, and I often do this on drums too. So if you're working on your drums and you've got multiple kicks, you can create a kicks bus. If you've got multiple snares, you can create a snares bus. If you've got toms, you can create a toms bus. And then you can still send the kick bus and the snare bus and the tom bus to the drum bus, right? So you can have these levels of bus processing that will organize your session, it'll speed up your workflow, and it'll just allow you to work on your song in a much more intuitive and smart way, instead of having to adjust every single individual track. This is what Joe Gilder calls top-down mixing. And it's a great approach. It's really going to help you to not only mix your songs faster, but it'll sound much better than if you try and make every individual track perfect and put all the plugins on each individual track. Instead, do minimal processing on the individual tracks and then let the bus be the place where a lot of the processing happens. Obviously, there's exceptions. Here, I broke that rule, right? Where the chorus and the verse, vocal, I've got everything on the chain itself. But for the most part, this can really help you to conserve CPU space as well. So you're not maximizing every plugin on every individual track. Instead, you're grouping them, sending them to the bus channels. And so it's just a great strategy to use. So I highly recommend you get used to using bus channels, especially on vocals, vocal doubles, backgrounds, right? Those sorts of things. Group them, send them to a bus, and it'll really help your vocal mixes to sound more professional and organizationally, and your workflow, it'll help that as well. So that is everything you need to know about bus channels, specifically as it relates to vocals.